Today I wanted to talk about something that is a little bit hard to talk about. So, today we're going to talk about drugs and pregnancy. Wow. So, there's a lot of pharmaceutical drugs out there right now that are being prescribed to pregnant women or women about to become pregnant, and they're being told that everything is safe to use. When in fact, there are no studies done on pregnant women. Why? Because it's really not ethical to do studies and drug testing on pregnant women. That makes sense. So, how can they go about saying that all of these drugs for various ailments are safe? That's what I'd like to know. Because when I wanted to get pregnant with my first daughter, I went to my doctor because I was being prescribed lithium and tryptophan, and I did not want to be taking any sort of drugs prior to, at least a year before getting pregnant with my child. I didn't want to pass down any illness, and I didn't want to pass down drug side effects. So I went to my doctor and I talked to them about coming off of these medications, and at that time I was studying holistic therapy. And I had started to learn how to make medicine, and I was putting to use a lot of the things that I was learning, trying it out on myself. Why not? So when I took the things that I was learning about to my doctor, and these things to her, and I told her what my goal was: to be drug-free long before getting pregnant and having my family. I told her I did not want to pass down any conditions that I was dealing with. I'd like no mania, no depression, no anxiety. I did not want to pass down any of that stuff. That is not the energy I wanted to pass down. And because I know a lot of the times doctors will say, well, these things are hereditary. No. There's a lot of things that can be passed down, but that doesn't mean they're ingrained so that it is mandatory to pass them down. A lot of things get passed on from generation to generation. You don't have to take it with you. Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. So I go to her, I tell her what's up, I tell her what my symptoms are, I tell her my fears of coming off the medication because I had been on it for 16 years. And the one time I didn't get my prescription filled, I was trying to come off of it, and it put me into mixed episode. It was really horrendous. It felt horrible, like my whole body was going to explode from the inside out, and my brain and everything was just like attacking itself. It felt like I had so many conflicting thoughts and emotions. Honestly, death felt like a sweet release. I didn't want to do that. It was not a good road to go down. So as I'm kind of explaining these things, she's just like, oh wow, that's really bad. And she's like, I don't think you should come off of any medication. I'm like, I really want to. I really don't want to be on this and going through pregnancy with this. And I really don't want to have any of these symptoms while trying to take care of an infant. I don't think that would be safe, and I don't think that would be nice, and I really want to be the best parent that I can be, and I don't want to be having to babysit a disorder and babysit these symptoms while looking after an actual baby. Honestly, I just couldn't imagine having a family and having, problems with my mood, like anger or sleep issues, or you have enough difficulty with sleep with an infant as it is. You don't want to be dealing with that. So imagine having a kid and having to deal with depression and anxiety and mood swings and stuff like that. Even just as you're for yourself, that's not good. But let's consider the kids, your partner. How is that going to impact them? And a lot of people try to sell it as take the drugs because it's better to be happy and calm or, sedated or whatever, when instead of being, depressive or angry or lashing out or having mood swings and stuff like that. But I don't think that's a really good trade-off, because whatever you have in your system gets passed down in vitro. Whatever you have in your system before getting pregnant gets passed down if you don't clear it out, because these drugs are not water soluble. They stay in your system for a really long time. So if you're having these drugs before getting pregnant, while you're breastfeeding, all of this is being passed on to your child. All of these drugs and all of the side effects that go along with it. Because think about it, the amount of that you are taking and the side effects you're getting, think about the impact on a teeny tiny itty bitty little baby. If you are taking a serotonin reuptake inhibitor and it's causing you to have your serotonin receptors or whatever die off to try and balance out the shenanigans that this drug is causing you, because let's get real for a minute, those serotonin reuptake inhibitors, they do not fix a serotonin imbalance. They merely mess with the flow of serotonin and the reuptake of serotonin so that it actually gives you an imbalance, because it physically changes your receptors and physically changes you so that you now have an imbalance. You now have a physical ailment that causes you to be imbalanced in these things. So that's what's happening to your baby. I think it's safe to say that whatever drug you are taking and the effects that it is having on you is being also put on your infant. These drugs are not safe before, during, or after having kids. And I think it's been proven over and over and over, they don't work anyway. It's more of a placebo effect, you know? You're just happy to have something, anything. And it might numb you for a while until it stops working, because it keeps you... Here's the thing most people don't think about when they're taking a drug. Your body is always trying to heal itself. Always. Your body and your mind, everything is always trying to get itself back into homeostasis. It is always trying to balance itself. It is always trying to mend itself. Always. No matter what you may think, it is always trying to do that. So when you throw these kind of drugs in the mix, your body will start to compensate. It's not just going to go, oh, thank goodness, that drug, I don't have to make serotonin anymore. It's so hard for me. Thank you for bringing me this drug. I feel so much better. Oh, I was having such a hard time making serotonin because I was just struggling. No, here's the thing. Your serotonin, like, it's produced mostly in the gut anyway, so, you know, first of hand, look at your guts to see what's going on. But most of the time, it's a sign, if you're depressed, that something is out of alignment in your life. It's a you problem with your life, not a you problem with, like, oh, my brain's just not working properly. It's like, no, your body and your brain are telling you what's up. Now it's up to you to give your body what it needs so that it can keep doing its job of repair and reconditioning. Like, it's always repairing itself. It's always renewing itself. That's a better word. Renewing. Constantly. Every brain cell, every skin cell, every hair follicle. It's like everything. I got weird for a second. I don't know why I said hair follicle, but every single part of you is always renewing and restoring and regrowing. But when we put these drugs in the mix, it really messes up what's happening. And again, back to, like, wanting to have my kids without messing them up and getting better. So if you're thinking to yourself right now, like, well, maybe you're really young and you're like, maybe I don't want to have kids, but maybe you don't want to have kids because you're afraid of passing on your condition. That's fair. I kind of thought that for a while too, but then I was like, no, I do want to have kids. And I definitely don't want to pass on any crappy behavior, conditions, illnesses, disorders, none of that. And especially drugs. I don't want to pass that on either. So, with that said, I went in to see this doctor with the intention of just finding herbal replacements for my condition, which was bipolar disorder. And I was told that what I was doing was dangerous and wrong, and I should not be doing it because you can't cure it. It's for life. It's a lifelong illness, disorder, whatever you want to call it, disease, whatever. I was told that you cannot fix it. You have to take these drugs, and they just kept trying to sell me on different drugs over and over and over. I was like, no. What I'm taking, I'm actually starting to feel better, so I'm going to keep taking this. little did I realize at the time that with what I was taking, and I was gauging how I was feeling every single day, I would take it for a while and then kind of step back from it for a minute to reassess my symptoms. And I noticed something happening month after month after month, that my symptoms started to decrease and decrease and decrease and decrease to the point where it felt like they were actually completely gone. Now, obviously, I was very hesitant to just stop what I was taking because I really didn't want to have any kind of a relapse, I guess you could say. So this went on for a long time, and then I did a nice big cleanse, liver cleanse, all the stuff, gut cleanse, body reset, all kinds of things before getting pregnant with my daughter. And I felt amazing. And so throughout my pregnancy, I realized I had never felt better before in my life. I'd never felt calmer. I'd never felt more focused. I've never had better sleep. My temper was just like right down because I didn't want to pass on any unsavory vibrations. Didn't want to. But before, I had a really hard time controlling it. Like, when something upset me, I felt it in every single fiber of my body. It was torture. And now, but now, still, but I could feel things fully without feeling like I was going to explode. I could feel things fully with kind of more of a love and appreciation, if that makes sense. Rather than this like intense burning desire that would just throw me for a loop. It's really hard to explain unless you're somebody that has experienced this feeling. Like, a lot of people say people that deal with bipolar disorder just like they feel things really intensely, and it's true. But I think if you're just a person that feels things really intensely, but you've just become dysregulated. And you can regulate these things. You can get back to real you, as I like to call it. I feel like real me again. And it's been 6 years now? No, 6 years? Yeah, just about 6 years since coming off the medication, clean. I quit everything. And I've had no symptoms. I've had no relapses. I've had no worries at all. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, because I was told so often that this is for life. So basically what I'm getting at is that everybody that's been told that if you've been told that you're dealing with a disorder that is supposed to be for life, they're lying to you. On purpose or not. They don't know better. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. All I know is that the drug companies don't want you to get better, and they really don't care to see you come off of their drugs, because that's a customer lost. And I'm here to tell you that you can get better completely. I'm not the only one that's done it now. This is what I do. I help people recover from all kinds of illnesses, all kinds of chronic illnesses, and disorder and mental disorder. It's pretty amazing to see, because, and I think I've talked about this a little bit before, when you get put on a drug, one drug for one condition, like say you start with depression, or you start with a little bit of mania, or they start with something to help stabilize your moods, because maybe you're going through a lot in your life. They give you one thing because you just want relief, because nobody's actually listening to you when it comes to what really is happening in your life. So they're just like, oh, let's just drug you instead, because that'll be better than figuring out what you really want in life and what's really missing and fixing everything. So they give you one drug, but that drug comes with a whole bunch of side effects. And so the next thing you know, your sleep is really bad. Then you have some manic episodes, and then they give you another like antipsychotic. And then you take that, and then next thing you know, you've got headaches, or you've got bladder leakage, or you've got dry mouth, or you've got eye dryness, or your skin's all messed up. But this goes on and on and on and on. Next thing you know, your kidneys are failing, or your liver's all messed up. And it's just like, they don't care what happens to you. The drug companies do not care what happens to you. They do not care what happens to your babies. They do not care about anything except their bottom line of making sure that they have a customer in you for the rest of your shortened life, because studies have shown that people on these types of drugs or on pharmaceutical drugs at all have an average of 15 years less life than anyone else. Think about that for a minute. 15 years less. That's a lot. And I know a lot of people say, well, it's like, it's better than, it's improving my quality of life. It's like, is it though? Because I can see the comparison of just like feeling these horrible symptoms, but then you take the drug and you've got 10 more symptoms and then 10 more drugs. Next you know, you're on 15 different dealing with the first condition that you had plus 10 more now. That's not an improved quality of life. That's worse. Take a good hard look at this. That is worse. That is not better. I don't know in what world that can be considered a success with prescribing drugs, is when you start with one drug and you end up on 15 and you have to consistently go in and have your levels checked and be put on different drugs because you keep building up new, like your body's still trying to compensate constantly. Your body's like, no, I'm trying to heal, I'm trying to heal, I'm trying to heal. So it's trying to compensate over and over and over and over. And you're just digging this hole of symptoms. All the time your body's just screaming out for help and we're just drugging instead. So what do you want to do with your life? Do you want to stay taking drugs? Or maybe you haven't taken them at all? Maybe you just want to get better. Maybe you do want to have a family. Maybe you do want all these things, but you've been too afraid because of all the baloney that has been sold to you about these conditions and your inability to heal. You can heal. You absolutely can. If you're on the fence about it and you want to talk about it, drop something in the comments. Say anything. I'll send you a link to book a call with me. We can talk face to face. Figure this out. If I met me 25 years ago, I would have been stoked to have somebody actually listen to what was going on in my life and help me through it, rather than just give me drugs and watch me slide deeper and deeper. I've learned too much. Going through all of that has helped me help so many other people, just like you. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't trade it for the world. So right now, if you're sitting there wondering what you're supposed to do, just comment me, help, anything. Leave me a comment, say something. We can talk. I'll drop you a link to grab a call with me. We can meet face to face. I'm not just some person talking on the internet. I'm a real human being who's been through this, come out the other end, and now I'm here to help you learn how to fix this yourself. Because like I said, your body knows how to heal. Your body knows how to heal. It wants to heal. It always does. You have the capacity to get better, but only if you're willing to do the work. And trust me, the payoff is worth it. Oh, it's a beautiful butterfly. Wow. There's so many times when I actually worried when I was getting better if I would be able to be as outgoing and as excitable and energetic as I was when I was dealing with mania. But looking back, I'm like, that's so silly. I'm like, and I would actually try to tone myself down to make sure that I wasn't letting on, that I was manic, even though I wasn't. After I healed, I found myself diluting myself a whole bunch. And in retrospect, I wish I didn't do that, but I actually, I kept trying to censor myself, I guess you could say. But here's the crazy thing. It's like, now that I've just really honed into who I am and what I stand for, and be honest about everything, my energy is realigned. I have unlimited energy without losing any kind of control or becoming unfocused. Because that was the biggest, hardest thing when it came to dealing with mania, with bipolar, is becoming unfocused. You'd have all the best ideas, you'd have all the energy in the world, but you couldn't really follow through on anything because my focus would be terrible. So that was the hard part. Now, my focus is impeccable. Your focus could be impeccable too. you could have unlimited energy too. You could be aligned with your purpose. You could be utilizing all your amazing ideas. You could become superhuman when you take away the things that are blocking you from being that. When you remove the things that don't serve you, you can become superhuman. Whether it's pain or trauma or just bad lifestyle, there's one thing or everything. It doesn't really matter. When you remove the roadblocks, life goes smoothly. You can do that too. When you remove the things getting in the way of you being amazing and discovering your superpowers, your energy becomes unlimited. When you become aligned with your true purpose, when you become aligned with your true path in life, it is amazing what happens. The spark inside comes back. And you don't have to worry about falling into that pit of despair again or becoming unfocused. You don't have to do that anymore. Shoot me a message. Let's talk. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be back to talk to you.